State your name, where you from, and where you hoop.
Allan Houston. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. I played for the University of Tennessee under Coach Wade Houston. I played 3 years with the Pistons and 9 seasons with the Knicks.
You did. You're one of the greatest shooters in NBA history. How do you feel like your development was different than others when it comes to shooting? Because a lot of people shoot thousands and thousands of shots, but they don't become the shooter that you did.
Early on, my father, I was kind of a skinny kid. Didn't have a lot of total body strength, but I grew fast. So a lot of my shot was developed from, just basic mechanics early on. My father taught me how to shoot. I grew up in basketball camps.
Me too. Yeah.
From the time I was 8, 9 years old. So, and then as I got older, my father always taught me, like, you got to be able to figure out how to get your own shot, even though you don't want to be just a one-dimensional shooter. So I spent a lot of time working on footwork, how to get to my spot with or without the ball. And so the coaches in high school trusted me to do that. And then it's just the work. I mean, there's really no shortcut to that. But I really wasn't like, I got to go in and get 1,000. For me, it was efficiency. It's like, I want to know how to get to this spot, make 5, 10 in a row, go to the next spot, do the same. So I was really more of, my workouts were around intensity and efficiency.
Nice. What do you feel like is the biggest difference between level of play when it comes to the 90s and now?
I wouldn't say level, I would say more style.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because everybody always talks about style, but my question to you would be, like, just in terms of level, like.
Anybody who's playing in the NBA uniform is at the highest level of 1%. So,
right.
Levels are levels. Like, you could go out to the park and see a guy killing, but you put him in an NBA gym, there's levels. But I would say from a style perspective, your position, I don't want to say positionless, but you still have to have a defined skill and something that you bring to the table. But when we were growing up, bigs were relegated to a certain area on the court, and now they have to be able to do multiple things and be able to operate in more spaces. I think there's more spacing. I think the game is faster. Screens are set in multiple places at multiple angles, so it makes it harder to defend. So that's another key to the game. And I think those are the primary elements that I think are different.
Knicks did better than they did in a while this past season. What do you think are some of the biggest keys this year to getting to where they want to go, inevitably a championship, just taking things to the next level?
When you get to this point, you just want to keep getting better. You just want to keep building on what you did, and you want to, you just want to prepare for. You want to have the depth. But I think the key is just taking care of all the little things. I mean, it's the game is not complicated. It's
true.
It's the basics are the basics. You take care of those. You minimize your mistakes, and in playoff situations, that's usually what happens, right? You give yourself the best opportunity. You're disciplined. You stick to your game plan, and if you're healthy enough, and everybody's healthy, you give yourself a chance.
What do you think Coach Mike Brown brings to this team?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think he's been around. He's been experienced. He's played. I mean, he's coached great players and great teams. He has a resume of different teams that he's coached, from international to playing at high level. He's got a great pedigree. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to putting guys in the best situation they can be in, and guys have to execute.
Last thing, toughest guy you ever had to guard, high school, college, NBA?
In our era, the 90s, I think I'm biased, but I don't know if there's a better era for the two guard. in the 90s. So I'm not going to probably be able to point to one. Obviously you have your obvious, your Michael. Tracy McGrady was probably the one that kind of stands out besides Michael. But you had so many. You can go down the line from Vince Carter to, Stackhouse, Ray Allen. Even when I was younger, Joe Dumars and Doug West and Ricky Pierce. You go throughout the 90s and you can just look at every team in the 90s and said that position, they were assassins, and they knew that. And then when you were younger, you knew that you were meat until you got your opportunity. And so I think it was definitely a trained position, a trained assassin position in that era where you knew that's every night, there was going to be some heat.
Yeah. The two guard looks so different these days. I feel like the NBA is more about meshing skill sets and tendencies than slotting positions. Is that fair?
Yeah, the style of play has something to do with that. Because as a two guard, there were certain things you just had to be able to do. You had to make spot up 2s and 3s. You had to be able to come off a down screen and pin down and make a shot. We weren't as involved in a lot of the ball screens as today, but you had to be able to get your own shot. You had to be able to, for the most part, you should have been able to post up and get your own shot.
Right.
So a lot of individual skill sets that you had to bring to the table in that position. But now guys are stronger. I shouldn't say stronger. They're longer at different positions. And because of the way the game is played, you're encouraged to just, straight line drive, kick it out, and make that three. Whereas when we were playing, you had a little bit more time and space to operate in your area to get a shot that might be discouraged now. So a lot of people always talk about how, I know you would love to play in today's game, but I caution people because a lot of the way that I got a chance to experience and explore the game was in areas that is kind of discouraged now.
Yeah.
So, you just play you just do what you're taught. At the end of the day, everything comes down to your training.
Yes. Yeah. Do you think it's harder to score now or in the 90s?
Harder? Well, I think it was harder to score in the 90s because now if you can spot up and make an open three, or if you can get to the paint and make a play, you're going to get easier shots.
Yeah.
Because of the space and the space. But a lot of times, when you're younger, you want to get into you want to define yourself, get into your bag and all that, and you realize that may not be what the team needs at every level I go to. Let me start off with what I think the team needs me to do, and then work back, and I think that's really one of the keys to success, which I'm going to share with, this group, is think about what the team needs and not what's, what you need to do.
Yeah. Well, you work in the G League, right? So I'm sure that's a thing you have to deal with often.
I think it's at every level of every stage of basketball right now. You can go down the line to NBA champions to a high school team. At the end of the day, basketball, you got limited minutes, limited shots. There's usually going to be 2 or 3 of those people that get most of the shots.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So how are you going to fit into that and learn how to be effective, knowing that if you're not one of those 2 or 3 getting most of the shots, how are you going to humble yourself to say, I'm going to impact winning?
But it's funny, all the training you see now, everybody's training like as if they're Kyrie or James, but 98% of the people, that won't be their role.
There's nothing really to say to that. You just said it, and that's what it is. But imagine if even half of that training was for what they really are going to focus on in the game.
Right. Thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate you. Thank you, bro. Yes, sir.